We're going live here on the station. Hello, everyone. Good evening. And Habari Ghani for Black History Month. We got to get those Black History Month accusations in there. Hotep, Asante Sana, thank you for joining me this Black History Month, and I am all geared up for Black History Month. And I want to do my Harriet Tubman, but I'll be doing that soon, but not on this station. I did agree to come back and to talk to all of my candidates who are preparing. Let me put my ears on here. Got to get the ears on. Woo! We got to get these ears on. Yes, we do. Okay, hold tight, people. Hold tight. We got some little eardrums to get on here. And without these eardrums, ooh, okay, there we go. All right. All right, didn't mess up too much of my hair. All right, once again, as I was saying, happy Black History Month to each of you. Thank you for joining me this evening on this winter night. We're getting snow out here in Indy. I hope you're not getting very much of it. But I did promise my constituents who are preparing for that medical home health exam, and that medical home health exam has an abbreviation. That medical home health exam, that's not going to be messing up anything here. That medical home health exam, oh boy, I did something here. Let's see. Okay, let me see here. Can you see me okay? It's kind of crazy. Anyway, let me type something in here. So if we want to invite someone, hello, people. I would love for you to come in and join us. Okay, give me a minute here. I'm typing something. Okay, let me see here. Let me try to get this in there. Okay, now I am your host for the evening. I am Omiinka 7, and it looks like something is going on with that typing. Let me see here. Anyway, I am your host for the evening, and I don't know how to get this back over here, but I'll just go ahead and keep talking. I am your host for the evening. I am Omiinka 7, and I will be speaking to you this evening. I am broadcasting live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. And for my YouTube followers out there, I would like for you to subscribe, tell someone that I'm on, that I will be talking about those preparations for the HCS-D certification, the study process, and materials. I'll be handing out some materials for you that you can start to use for your study guide. As you know, this is an open book exam, and we want to get as much experience in as possible. Some of you are working on the job, processing claims, and you are actually adding on codes. So you're getting that work experience every day. However, there are some of us who are not working in the profession currently, and we need to have that experience through worksheets, booklets, materials, and we need to get those experience as rapidly as we can and as frequently. We cannot carry our notes into the testing ground. We can only carry our book. And I want to make sure that you know that the actual, let's see if I have it here. ICD-10 CM official guidelines for Coding and Reporting FY 2020 is out now. I am showing you the 19. However, the 2020 is out now, and you definitely want to go and get the 2020. Now, I don't know why the background is showing like that. You definitely want to go and get the 2020. Let's see here. Um, you can get that online. It is free. It's a government document. You can get that online, but make sure you get the 2020 and not the 19, because this one's already outdated. It expired in October of 2019. So you want to have up-to-date preparation materials. This particular guideline on the 2020 will take you through all the government requirements. And remember, this guideline precedes any other study guide. This is what the government wants you to use. And we are to code to the highest expectation, and that is the highest level. Now, there is an actual 30-day money-back guarantee order sheet that you can do for the Home Health ICD-10 CM Diagnosed Coding Manual. And this organization actually sells the book, and you can go online and get it. I'm trying to see if you can go online and look under the government, under the decisions of health, and you can find information on this book, and you can save up to 15% on the official document for 2020. That's the ICD-10 CM manual from Decision Health, okay? And this is just a little discount sheet that they sent me for 15%. I don't know if this will be in your guideline or not. Now, let's get on with our discussion. As I indicated to you, I will be giving you a review of some materials that I think you need to have. Now, if you go through my study review, as I told you, I am a training and curriculum specialist. I do professional development. I know exactly how to work with adult educators or adult candidates, and how to make materials age appropriate for adults and not for children. So I have taught adult education classes for two junior colleges such as Gateway Junior College, excuse me, and also there at Richland College in Dallas, Texas. So I've had quite a bit of experience in working with adult education. And because I had the actual advanced degree, I was able to teach at the college. So I've taught these classes at the college level, even though I wasn't endorsed and licensed. But as a trainer, I'm endorsed and licensed. I do have a teacher's license. And if I have 30 hours or more in my specialty area of medical records or coding, then I am able to go to any college to teach these classes, even though I am not licensed, I am not certified, certificated, but I have a master's degree and over 30 hours of medical records courses. So I've had all the traditional courses, and what I'm going to be giving you is a little bit of background about medical records, because that's how all this stuff started with coding. Medical records came first, and we had to learn the history of medical records and how to even use software to create these digital medical records that now you can carry around on a little chip. So we're getting quite advanced. And some of the things I can teach you is about technology. I've had technology courses in the area of computer science and understanding how to graph and adapt all of our IT materials into usable materials. So what I'm going to be talking to you about is a little bit about your background in anatomy and physiology. I teach the medical term and anatomy together. I know a lot of people may have told you that you don't need the anatomy if you're going to work in a hospital setting. But I personally think you need as much prerequisite and grounded work in the science areas as possible, preferably anatomy and physiology with a cadaver. And for those of you who don't know the terminology of a cadaver is an actual deceased uh, uh, body that has been donated to industries such as universities, and you get a chance to explore their bodies, cut their bodies open, and extend out the capillaries, the coronaries, and the veins and the arteries, so you can see all of these particular working devices inside that individual. So you know exactly when a doctor writes a prescription and said the coronary artery was damaged, you know exactly where to go with that. Hold on for 1 minute here, because I'm going to have to bring in some adaptations here. Okay, hold on, Facebook. Where is it? Okay. Just hold for 1 minute here. We're getting it. And Facebook, I'm going to put you right there for a second until I get all these cords hooked up here. Okay. Just bear with me for 1 second here, YouTube. I am a technician. I'm a technician too. Got to do the tech work. And if you don't, can't get the program going. So bear with me over here. All right. And how's everybody doing? I hope you're fair to Midland. It is snowing here in Indy. And all right, here we go. Okay. Now, can you still see me Facebook? Let me say hello to my guests. Hello, Thomas. How are you? Hello, Willie Bias. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me. Gonna move this little person out the way. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. We're doing a review for those candidates who think they might want to go into being a coding specialist. Now, remember, this is not for the hospital. It is for the medical nursing home facility, home health coding. So what I'm teaching you is a little different from the hospital setting. You will not be working in a hospital setting. You can either choose from compliance and work in the nursing home setting, making sure that all the elderly people have their rights. There's a lot of law involved in that. I think that that's going to be my specialty, compliance, because I am very, very antiquated in the area of paralegal, and I have a very good handle on the medical, of the legal field of the medical, because I've had quite a bit of courses in that area. However, you also have the choice of hospice, where you can work in a hospice setting and you deal with the dying and suffering, because the hospice, there are two different options that you have. You have the home health hospice, where you can die and stay in your home gracefully as you transition, or you can go into an actual center for hospice. And we need candidates to come in and code in that area. And then you also have the skilled nursing facilities, where you might be placed in a nursing facility that's going to give you tracheotomy services, oxygen services. And then those are skilled nurses around the clock. And then for those people who don't need as much help and they just want a nurse to help pass their meds, there is another category that you can work in, and that is working with the elderly, the 55 years old and older. You might even have paid into your plan to allow you to go to a nursing facility that's not skilled, that basically gives you basic services and you pay for them a la carte. That is a specialty as well. This home health medical coding review is a lot different from the CPC and the HAHIMA. This is home health. Please make sure you understand that. So if you've had a review before and it was from CPC, you'll know that my review is different. We're dealing with specialty areas, and there are many specialty areas, such as being working with the dentist is a specialty area. Cardiology is a specialty area. Working with tumor registry, cancer patients. That's how I got involved in this. I got involved initially because I was interested in tumor registry. I was interested in working with tracking and researching those cancer patients to find out how they fared with their condition. And I found that it was such a really, really interesting area, and I wanted to do the research area. However, I did stumble up on the home health coding, and I love compliance because that is dealing with regulations and the law, and making sure that those candidates knew about their rights on their medical records, the right to make sure that they're protected and no one has access to their records, the right to even get their records paid for when they need to present them when they're trying to prove their disability. So I got involved in doing disabilities with the attorneys, and I had to gather their records, and I had to do a synopsis of looking at their diagnosis, what they were diagnosed with, and the procedures of what the doctor did. So we had to gather these documents to make sure that this person was going to have a condition that was going to last beyond 1 year in order to qualify for disability. So I did a lot of pro bono disability cases for seniors and got really good at it, and didn't realize that that medical records background I had was a good foundation to help me to advise the attorney on diagnosis and looking at the ponds to see if they qualified for disability. Now, it's a great opportunity because you don't have to work in the hospital once you get this particular endorsement. You can work for attorneys and extract records as well. A large portion of my accounts was extracting records for the attorney. They allowed me to take the records home and extract them, pull out the necessary information, and bring them back to the office. So I was able to do this while raising a family. So I'm teaching this class to let people know there's a profession out there that you can work remotely from your home, and it's in the area of coding specialty. Some people go into billing and coding. I am teaching on coding only, not the billing aspect of it, and medical claims. I do have a course in medical claims, Part B medical claims, and teaching you how to process a claim from the start to finish. And it's very vital that you get this information because you can monopolize up on one of the ABC credentials, and you don't even have to have a bachelor's degree to come into a profession. Making over $30,000 a year without a degree is a very good reason why you want to do this review, because there is no prerequisites and criteria to have a degree to sit for the exam. However, for your own benefit, you want to have taken anatomy, physiology, and medical term. Those are the three classes that I was mandated to teach with Blue Cross Blue Shield in order for you to become a claim processor. So you could become a claim processor, number one, processing Part B Medicare. You can also do claims that work with claims for various different doctors' office. If you may want to work with the disability, working with the lawyers that do disability claims. You can also work as a coder, where you can get your certificate and do coding work. And if you should want to do billing, there's also a certificate for billing. However, I don't teach billing. I teach coding specialty. And one of the things we're going to do tonight is go over some things that in my training that I am suggesting you get. Okay, these are just some suggestions. And they also have a handbook. And there is a handbook that you must get. And you can download that handbook. It is free of charge. You can go online and download that handbook. and the government provides that handbook for you. Now, I don't know if it's still available to non-candidates who don't work in the field. I came across it and I downloaded the handbook, and it gave me the studying tools that I needed. And just as I was telling you, you have to register for the HCS-D certification examination. You have to register and pay a fee. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood now of about close to about $239. It might be a little bit higher since the last time that I have reviewed it. You take that test with a proctor, and you don't take it alone. It has to be done on a computer. Now, if you want to do pencil and paper exam, you must go to one of the summits. And when you go to the summits, they will allow you to do pencil and paper exam at the summit during the last 2 days that you're at the summit. Now, to me, that appears to be a little too noisy. Too much is going on with people being anxious to go to the workshops and seminars. And I never felt that I could go in there and be fraternizing with my friend and then go and sit for exam. Now, let me remind you, there are some people who started in this field who learned on the job, and they have been coding from learning from a mentor all their working life. So they have got it down to an art, to a principle, and they are coding on a daily basis. For those of us who are not coding on a daily basis, we're going to have some challenges, and we're going to have some workbook experience so we can look at all of the scenarios based on how the test has been written. What we're attempting to do is to beat the clock, and we are attempting to look at samples of old exams to see if they're going to repeat that formality. We're looking at the formality of the various different objective test questions that they could possibly ask. And they're giving you a time limit. So you have to beat the clock. So you're working against the clock. So there are schematics that you can sketch and put in your book. So it will help you understand the venous blood, the arterial blood, and how to basically run those lines so you know what the doctor's talking about. So you have to have a pretty good idea of the you got to have a pretty good idea of the actual anatomy of the bone structures, the 206 bones, and how the vein and the venous and the arterial blood system runs, the arteries. You're going to have a pretty good idea of the body. Now, let's go over the body just a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. You can go out and get these pamphlets yourself. And this happens to be, hold on, I'm going to have to put this down for 1 minute because I'm trying to talk and show you things too. So I'm going to put this down here for a second, and we'll put you back up here in a minute. Okay, Facebook. Now, this is an actual human anatomy of the female, and it actually has three-dimensional body parts in it. I teach the anatomy. Now, I'll be going over the anatomy parts of the body so that you will be able to see the anatomy parts of the body, okay? And I'll be able to go over these three-dimensional cavities of the body, and you could actually go out and you can order or download this. There's one for the female and one for the male, and it has all of the body structures in here, as you can see, body cavities. This I suggest you get just so you can get familiar with the anatomy, the human anatomy. This is studying on your own. However, I'm going to be teaching a course on anatomy. And this is a foundational course that they expect you to have under your belt buckle so that you will have an understanding of what the doctor's talking about. You can visualize it. Okay, now, there's a study process and material. They just recommend these things in the handbook. I suggest you download the handbook for the candidate handbook. Okay, and it's going to have study questions in there. It's going to have the HCS-D certification guide. It'll tell you how the test is set up. Okay, it won't give you any answers. The annual Home Health Coding Summit. It'll give you example of what that summit is like. They're thinking that you can pull information from that summit to use for the exam. And they said complete home ICD-10 CM diagnosis coding manual. I've showed you that big book. You definitely want to have that big book because that big book is what you're going to be able to have an open exam test with. Hold on. What is that? What is? Okay, who are you? Who are you? Okay, but what? How can I help you? What are you doing though? What's that? Yes, what are you delivering? Okay, it's the food? Okay, well, I didn't know what you didn't say for yourself. You just said DoorDash. DoorDash, yeah. Is this all food? No. Oh, okay. Right. All right. I didn't know what you were saying. I said, you can see, because he's been ordering food and I didn't know the name. Okay. Is this on? No. Okay. That's more. Okay. You got it? Just a minute. We'll be right back with you. Okay, Facebook? We'll be right back. Okay. Yep. No. Okay. You want to take the two up there? And then I got one more applicant. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's everything. Yes, ma'am. Do I need any paperwork or anything? Let me make sure. Let me make sure you know. It took our day getting the stuff. Been up since 7 o'clock. Really? They slow at that Walmart when you order something. So you had to go all the way up to a Walmart to get it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, get the signatures. Why that's what the delivery? Yes, there you go. It's right there. Sign my name or his name? It don't matter. Did you get a receipt or anything? I don't think so. He has the receipt. Yes. Okay, so he's gonna send the email. Yes, they'll send him the email. Okay. Yes, but I don't print out receipts. Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Have a nice day. Okay, everybody, I am back. Okay, sorry about that. I had to let the delivery man in, and I had quite a bit of groceries to put up, so sorry about that. Anyway, let's get back to the topic. Now, where was I? I was saying that there is a guideline. I think I was showing you that guideline. Hold on, let's put it over here. Now, I'm going to be showing you a few materials for those of you who have no foundation at all, who've never actually worked in a profession or had any prior prerequisite courses such as chemistry, anatomy and physiology, medical term. I'm going to be telling you about some programs that are home-based that you could actually purchase and do a review to give you a quick review and bring you up to par and give you a certificate. That will actually, they can give you that certificate and give you more study options, so that the more study options you have, the better chances are you'll know how to position yourself when you take the test. You want to take care to separate your time accordingly. For those diagram questions, you want to have those diagrams put in your book. And hold on. Yes. Yeah, they bought it. All right. Y'all get there okay? Did you get there okay? Okay then. Bye bye. Sorry about that. Um, anyway, what I was saying is that you want to set your time up accordingly. You want to challenge those questions that you know right off the bat. Anything that you don't know and you haven't researched, you want to make sure that you don't put the first answer down. If it's something that you have to execute and go through and eliminate those answers which could not possibly be it. You want to take more time with those, but those things you do know, you go ahead and answer them. You can take your book into the testing ground, and you might want to have diagrams of various different parts of the body that have been drawn in your book, okay? And that you have to go over, that helps you to walk yourself through the process, because this is a lot of processing, and they're assuming that you know the body parts so you can process this information to make it make sense. Now, you know, if they say that there was a scraping, you know that there was something taken out of a person. So you know it's ology, the study of something. You know that that's the study of something. You got to use your medical terminology to help you answer these questions. They give you the answer. Within those answers, there is the correct answer. You have to eliminate all of the ones that could not possibly be the answer. You have to have some test taking skills. And that's what I intend to teach you, not in this session, but test taking skills. And as a graduate student, we had to take graduate exams, and we had to know how to eliminate the incorrect answer. And then that will help us narrow down the correct answer. Okay. Now, for people who are working in this field on a daily basis, some of this come as second nature to them. They automatically know it because they've been through it. They've talked to their boss about which code to use, to the more specification. It used to be a time you could use general codes in the ICD-9. Now they've changed it. You must use codes to specification. You must go to the highest code to get the highest pay from that particular procedure. Okay. What I was telling you is that the items that they allow in the exam, okay? And let me see if I can see this without my glasses. 2 forms of identification you must bring. 1 form must be government issued, such as your photo ID, current coding manual, which I told you is a coding book, and the candidate's, why are they saying the candidate's ID number? Well, maybe they're going to give you an ID number when you register. You may take only one of the following manuals into the testing room. Complete Home Health ICD-10 CM Diagnosis Coding Manual for 2020, available for purchase, and you must buy that through the Decision Health online. A complete Home Health ICD-9 CM Diagnosis Coding Manual, okay, for 2020. Any other vendor's ICD-10 coding manual 2020 or 2017 edition. So I don't think you're going to want to carry all those heavy books with you, maybe one. I hope they get to a point where they allow you to carry the software in so you could look up the code, but that would be futile because literally you wouldn't have to go through any of the process of eliminating anything. You would just put the procedure in and go to the code. That's how most coders are coding now. They're not going through the traditional process of eliminating the process and procedure. Some of them are going through the steps, and then they use the software coding as a backup. So they can make sure that they code to the highest specification and that the code is correct. Okay. Now, one of the things that I want to say to you is that handbook is necessary. Download that handbook as soon as you can. And that's the candidate's handbook for home health coding. Download it, and there's going to be some domains. They're going to assign acute diagnosis coding is 65% of the test. Okay. And then they have the domain collaboration with the council physician and managers and administrators. That's 10% of the test. And then domain 4 ensures that all activities are done in a legal and ethical manner that supports agency policies, regulations, and professional guidelines, 15% of the test. Now, they give you this much so you know what to look for, and you can get an idea of how many of those questions are going to be in there. Okay, you might want to know, how do you register for the HCS-D certification examination? Well, the registering for the exam at the PSI Testing Center is where they're going to instruct you to go. Okay, you go to the AHCC decisionhealth.com and click on how to get certified. Click on the electronic registration page. Select the home care coding specialist, diagnosis HCS-D, certification examination for the price of $329. Now, it may have gone up. Don't quote me on that. Okay, number 4, input the candidate's information in the space provided. Place insurance that you include your email address in the space provided. Number 5, indicate your payment information in the space provided. Number 6, submit the registration information electronically via the submitted button. Number 7, once your registration information has proceeded, you will receive a confirmation email. Number 8, the email will be sent to the email address you provided your examination registration. Number 9, registering to take the exam at the PSI. The candidate will take the exam in an electronic format, and that is on the computer. You cannot use pencil and paper for that exam at that location. Only when you go to the summit, which is a conference, you pay to go to the conference, and within that paying fee, you get a chance to review for the exam there. So it is a good deal if you would go to the conference and prepare for the exam even further, and you'll pay an additional fee of $329. Well, actually, at that exam, the third day, they might include your exam fee in that cost of the conference. Okay. I think it's a bit too noisy. I think it's too much going on and you can't concentrate, and somebody's going to ask you to take a test when you've just been in a group jumping around having fun, and now you got to get focused and then take a test. For me, it's a bit too much. But it's a good idea to go to that conference and do that review. You don't have to necessarily sit for that exam. You can leave that exam and go and register at the PSI Center, which is what they're going to walk you through Googling PSI, and then they will tell you which center to go to take your exam. Now, these people who work in the profession, their companies are paying for their review. They usually pay for their conference. So they go to the conference and have a good time. And then they go right on and take the exam and do very well. How you doing, Sean? How, John? How are you? Angela, how are you? Who else is here? Richard, Willie, Thomas. Who else is here? John. Sean, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me. We had a little rough night this evening trying to get groceries in the house, so just bear with me. I did want to get back to everyone to let them know that the review is still going on. I'm trying to keep this information at the top of your priority list because a lot of you need a profession and a trade. This will give you a profession and a trade. Out of all the things that I've ever done administratively, this has been the most invigorating and exciting, because I did go to school and I won a scholarship to go to school and to take the courses at College of DuPage. I won a scholarship from 3M, and I felt it was necessary to go back and to fulfill this option of taking an exam. Even though I had went a different way and got my teacher's license, it just made it better for me. So now I can teach at the college, and I can have 30 hours in my specialty area of medical coding, and I can teach that along, with the fact that I have the master's that actually bumped up my options. So I wanted to keep this alive for you because there's a lot of people doing demeaning jobs. They're doing industrial jobs and labor jobs, and they're very, very smart, organized, they have a good head on their shoulder, and they can pretty much decipher tests. Some people are very good at deciphering tests, and they don't need to have all those prerequisites. They just need to understand how the test is structured, and they can go in and they can beat the clock, and they can go in and they can outsmart the test givers and do a very good job. And you might be one of those people. And I want to give you that opportunity because you're sitting there without a trade or a skill. This could be a field that if you're on welfare and the government is saying you can go and enroll in a certificate program, we will pay for it as long as it's under $5,000, as long as you are going to be placed in an internship and a job. And this is one of those fields. When I taught this program at the college, we placed students in internship, and we had a 1-year certificate, and all they had to do was go 1 year, complete the certificate, and then they could matriculate on to the 2-year associate, and they can go after the associate degree, and the government and the state would pay for it. And if you're one of those candidates, you can get this program paid for because it falls in the category of one of those hard to fill areas that's in demand. This is in the area of IT, technology, dealing with technology, because we deal with electronic actual files and records. So you will get a chance to understand how to process a claim, and that's a very good skill to have, to be able to understand how to process and pay a claim. Some of you may have paid claims before, and you might even be a claim provider. Blue Cross Blue Shield hires claim processors, and once they get good at it, you can actually do an independent contract and come back and do their backlog, so you can always gain extra money. Now, and I'm teaching this because my whole family is deep into the medical records field. From my two sisters and their two children, it's five of us that are involved in medical claim processing. They started out as medical claim entry level process. They don't have the degree. I started out as a claim manager because I had the degree. So I invited them to come along into the profession. They are still in the profession, even though I transferred out when I went for my graduate degree. They're still in the profession. And guess what? They're making almost as much as I was making after I got a master's degree. One of them has moved up to administration. So that's how good this field is. And I wouldn't be ranting and raving about it if it wasn't. Their children, they brought them in, they trained them, and they told them what it was all about to process a claim. They're not coders, they're processing claim. However, one is a third party administrator who works with the administration, and she actually runs the department. However, their children are doing processing of claims in their home. They have a flexible schedule. They are able to do their quota and shut down for the day and have the rest of the day off. That is the convenience of being a remote worker from home. And guess what? They did all the research and they found out that workers do far better when they work remotely from their home. That workers get the job done. There's lesser errors and everything. So I've been the one that went to school and got training out of my family. I went to school and got textbook training. So I have a wealth of 2 years of textbook training in medical records. However, my bachelor's degree courses transferred over, so I was able to matriculate through the program faster, and that is why I was able to finish all of the theoretical requirement. And I went on to take a graduate job, and that was to work at the college. So I figured if they were going to give me a job to work at the college, then maybe I didn't need to sit for the exam. And because at that time you didn't have to have the exam. If you had the work experience, they would advance you. Now you can't work in a profession without taking the actual exam. I want to challenge it because I know I could pass it. So I'm taking you guys along with me for the ride. So if any of you decide to be a part of this, you can buy your materials, like go buy your books, start studying on your own, go to some of the seminars and workshops. And speaking of seminars and workshops, let me tell you what they got coming up. You might even want to take your next vacation to some of these seminars. Hold on. They have a seminar coming up in August, the 3rd through the 7th, at the Paris Hotel and Casino for two industry leading home health events. Let's see what they are. They are Home Health Coding and Compliance Summit. That's the one I want to go to, and that's August 3rd through the 7th, 2020. A deep dive into coding for common home health diseases, tips to avoid questionable encounter coding, documentation workshops to ensure specialty, practice scenarios and more practice scenarios, time to share ideas, ask expert questions, fastest way to register. It gives you the decisionhealth.com/coding.compliance20. Then on August the 4th through the 5th, they have the Home Health Payment Summit. Learn how to dive accurate reimbursements under PDGM, including strategies to speed up cash flow, a detailed map for episodes and management staffing, a case reference rule book, benchmarks for codes and productivity and accuracy, how to get more hospital referrals, opportunities to hear what's working for other agencies, fast ways to register to decisionhealth.com. Now, that specialty room is $129 a night, plus $30 daily escort fee. This is in Las Vegas. Boulevard South, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Reservation Center. And they have a number 1-800-358-8777. And that's in Paris, Las Vegas, that they're going to have that workshop. Then there is a Home Health Administrators Summit, and that is May 13th through the 15th, 2020. You can save up to $399 with early bird pricing through February 14, 2020. Take your home health agency to the next level in patient care and profitability. You must attend pre-conference Thrive in a Whole New World of PDGM. It says sources of coding. This is at the Home Health Administrators Summit, May 13th through the 15th. Visit decisionhealth.com, HHA Administrative Summit. And this particular one for the PDGM pre-conference is $499. All access pass conference and main conference is $1,199. The main conference is only $999. You save $100. And on the best deal, you save $399. This is the fastest way to register. You go online to the decisionhealth.com HH Administrative Summit 1. And then you call 1-855-225-5341. And this is at the hotel discount Hilton Orlando Lake Buena Vista. Okay. And they're going to have a conference to cover the administrative aspect. You may not be ready for the administrative because you're coming in at the clerical level doing the medical codes, but you definitely may be interested in the Las Vegas. Now, here's another one that they have coming up. Let's see, they had that one already. Okay, these they've already had, but that Las Vegas is coming up, and that would be a great one to attend. Now, I want to say that you could become a member also. The home health membership, you can become a member and get their materials in the mail. I am thinking about becoming a member, and the coding center, they actually have software. Once you get into this and you learn how to code, then you can buy the software, and the software actually allows you to go directly to the code, and you can pull the code from the software after you've exhausted all your efforts to look it up. You can substantiate that by pulling the code from the actual software. Then that way it reassures you that you're coding to the highest expectation and you don't get audited, because they do give you a quota. And at the end of the week or month, they don't tell you when they're going to do it. They come in and they audit your work and they look for errors, and you want to be error free. Okay. In this profession, you can't afford to be making mistakes because it costs them money. Okay. Now, I wanted to tell you about another home health training, and I try to market as many people as I can. And the medical coding exam prep that is done by the Medical Coding Academy. They teach you a tabular system. Okay, I think I showed this once before. They teach you a tabular system, and Mrs. Arzaga, she actually put this together. It's a home health training material that she put together that actually shows you how to set your book up and save yourself time in testing. Now, but remember, she's not doing the specialty coding. She's doing the hospitalization coding for CPT and for outpatient coding, which is not the specialty. So it's a whole different program than what I teach. I teach for the home. I teach for the home health. She teaches for the hospital. Okay. So, but for those of you who would like to go CPC, that license is offered through CPC. But she has a home health training to show you how to set your book up so you can go in there with your book ready to take your exam. Now, the biggest thing that I think I can offer you is samples of the types of questions that are asked on the exam. And I'm going to try to get my hand on those so that I can bring back to you workbooks of the sample of questions so you can see what they're going to ask. Now, in this book, I was told that I can order the actual book with the questions and answers in it. And these are just samples over the years that they have done for these particular tests. These are not the exact questions that are going to be on there. These are the actual samples of the questions and answer booklets that they're going to possibly use from old testings to give you an idea of what the samples questions look like. Okay. And that's one of the things that I'm going to suggest you purchase. I think it's around 70. How much is it? The questions and answers are in a companion book. They give you a companion book, and that book is $129. These books are very expensive, but if you're working in the hospital and your job wants you to go and get certified, they're going to more than likely pay for these study guides for you if you're already in that profession in the hospital. If not, you're going to have to save your own money. And once you find out that you like doing the coding, do some sample questions and see how you like doing the coding. If it fits your cup of tea and you like it, you're good at it, you can hold numbers in your head. I am very good with recalling numbers. I remember everybody's phone number off the top of my head, but let me try to hold a group of numbers that I'm adding in my head. Then it's almost like I can't grasp them. I got to write them down. I got to visually see them. But if somebody gives me a phone number, I plan them in my head. I can recall them. And I noticed that when I got my phone number, I planted it. And then when my husband got his phone number, I put it in there too. And he never can remember his number. He gets up to the counter and said, "What's my phone number?" And then I regurgitated it off. He said, "How did you remember that?" Because I grouped the numbers in a certain way. Because I used to code, and I used to have to write down on little sticky notes all of the codes that I found, and I write a little notation by it so I remember what is connected to. So I don't have to go look that code up anymore. I can go pull my little sticky note and say, here it is. But when you go into testing, you cannot carry any sticky notes. They're not allowed to let you bring any sticky notes in there. Just your book. So you have got to know that circulatory system. You got to know that respiratory system. You got to know it like the back of your hand. That's why when I teach medical term, I teach it to mastery. I want everyone to get at least 75 to 85% right. But guess what? Most of my students usually get 85% comprehension on the test because they retain the information and they hold that information because everything in that medical term is based on word association, where you are not anatomically remembering what body part that is. You are looking at anatomical, such as the femur bone, which is the largest bone in the body. There's a Barbie doll placed on the femur bone. See that female on the femur bone, and it reminds you of the name femur because it's a female doll on there. Now, for example, we put a motorcycle on the cheekbone. This bone is called the zygomatic. So we put a motorcycle there, and we say, see the motorcycle on the cheekbone? It's a zygomatic bone. I kid you not. I learned this over 30 years ago, and I still know these 206 bones. I did take another class in medical term, but it wasn't like the Dean Bond. It was completely different. It was with a bunch of flashcards. And the class I teach, I require you take no notes during the first half of the class. You only pay attention to the video recording because it's a visual class that teaches you to visually see it. Okay, after you visually planted it in your mind, then you can go take all the notes you want and then take your quiz. And most of the people that take the quiz score 85% or better. And they retain the information. It's fun, it's exciting, you get a lot of laughs out of it. And then you no longer need to use flashcards because you've already planted it in your brain. Whoever put this curriculum together under the Dean Bond, they put it together with the assumption the word association will be planted in your mind for those visual trainers, for those visual individuals. We have auditory learners, visual learners, and kinesthetic learning. Okay, but I want you to be whole brain learners. As a college adjunct, I have been a visiting lecturer for Purdue University, and I do their child development classes. So I am a professor because they retired me, or National Louis University retired me as a professor. So I'm listed in the National Louis University Index as a professor. So you can call me professor. That's fine. That's not a problem. My background is undergraduate in the home ec department in the marriage and family counseling. However, I had a minor in biology, so I've taken anatomy, physiology, chemistry, pathology. I've worked in the pathology lab with a pathologist, doing research work, doing autopsy. So I have a wealth of a background and foundation in the science capacity. So I know I could walk in there and pass this exam. Only thing that would be against me and you is the clock. So we've got to structure ourselves so that we don't waste a lot of time and that we beat the clock. So we're there to beat the band. We're there to beat the band and to look up every scenario, possibly every procedure that they could ask those questions. Have you seen where they said two of them are right on this question and three of them are wrong? Okay, then you got to look for the two that you got to rule out all the three that are wrong, and then you know that those two that are left are the answer. And then these are graduate type of questions because you have to take the GMAT. They use a lot of different procedures. They'll say, "Give me a summary of what you just read. Was in that summary, did he give you information that you can use?" So you got to do a lot of reading, and that's why whenever I can, I read things to you to let you know that comprehension is the first thing that they want to make sure you comprehend what you're doing. And you can take speed reading. I took speed reading to help me understand how to fish through information and do a scheme, skim through it, and then come back and do a thorough reading. Because sometimes you read for enjoyment, sometimes you read for information. So you have to understand how you're reading. If you're just skimming through something, you're going to miss it. You got to come back and thoroughly read it. If they ask you for a question like, what side of the body does the arterial blood run? Okay. And what does the arterial blood do? Does it bring oxygen to the heart, or uh, does it take damaged blood cells and waste away from the body? So you're going to have to know a little bit about the venous blood is a fresh blood. The arterial blood is a blood that is being taken away. It has the oxygen in it. It tells you how much oxygen is going to the body, so you know exactly what to look for when you're trying to get the breath of a person. Is he breathing appropriately? Is he lacking oxygen? It tells you how much oxygen is in. So you got to know about the blood system, the venous cava. You have to know a little bit about the 206 bones. How are they structured? Do you have the upper extremities in the arms and the stomach and the lower extremities down in the metatarsals? Where are the metatarsals? Are they in the phalanges and the fingers? So you have to get a very good grip of the bones. I'm going to be teaching the 206 bones so you can get them and grasp them in your mind. So this will be an awfully good foundation for you if you weren't going to take this exam, but you want to become a nurse's assistant or phlebotomist. This will give you a great head start because it will give you an understanding of how the body works metatomically, and you would have an understanding of what the doctor did. If the person came in and they had a sore throat, and they ended up having a virus, so uh, they had to do a culture. So they had to scrape something off his throat to do a culture. So you know that that doctor is getting ready to prescribe what? Antibiotics, because that's the first thing they want to do is prescribe antibiotics. But antibiotics lowers the good bacteria in the lower intestine. So it makes you weaker. They're now finding out giving antibiotics is not a good thing. That there are various different products that you can use that come from the bees' honey, and it's called propolis. It does the same thing the antibiotic will do, but it doesn't have the side effects. So a lot of the people working in the medical field don't have alternative background and don't have a knowledge of what can be substituted for that damaging medication that they're giving. It has alter indication, and it'll tell you, yes, there's some alternative indication when you take this. Hopefully, the good will outweigh the bad. But more than often, if you give enough antibiotics, it will weaken the whole body, and the good that it would do, it turns into bad. So some of the people they study beyond the allopathic medicine, like I have. We go into the alternative, and we know that there is a substitute for that. You don't have to give that strong drug, just like diabetes. They're giving people diabetes. When you come in there, they're forcing your body to stop making insulin. It's saying, stop. I'm going to flood your body with insulin. And then your body starts resisting it, pushing it out. And then it stopped making its own insulin because you've been flooding the body with this synthetic insulin. So now the body is starting to tax the pancreas, and the pancreas is starting to not function. And then before you know it, the kidney is shutting down. So all of these ricochet problems that they're causing with this insulin, yet they're saying, come on in and get your insulin. We're going to save you from the amputation. In fact, they're causing you to have an amputation. And our black people can't get it. They keep saying, well, no, I got to take my insulin. Oh, no, I can't miss my blood pressure. And they're going in there, getting their limbs cut off like 20 going north. And I tell them, I said, look, get your health book out, start reading it. Stay informed with health. Don't turn your life over to someone without knowing clearly what they're doing. When they say you got high blood pressure, okay, what is normal? First, if you could tell me what's normal, then I know if mine is over the top. Half the time, black people's high blood pressure is over the top, but we normalize and compensate for it, and it comes down. People think as soon as they get a diagnosis of diabetes that they must go in and get an insulin shot, or else they're going to go blind. No, you have to get a second opinion. You have to change your diet. It is not the actual hypoglycemia and diabetes. It is a food disorder. It is not a disease. And if you can change around the chemistry of the glucose, you can save yourself from taking the meds. Because immediately when they told me, you're predisposition diabetes, I said, don't worry about it. I'll change that with my diet. And I did. But yet they were giving me all these quotes about what was going to happen. And to this day, they still send me a list of all of my numbers. And I said, well, I got that beat because I can bring down the numbers anytime I see fit, because you have to know the chemistry of your own body. And if you don't use this class for nothing else, use it for the chemistry to balance your bodies or your children or your husband. Because there's too many people getting amputation, losing their vision for no reason at all. And then they're telling you, I'm helping you. They're not helping you. There is no cure. Okay, first of all, there's no disease. How are you going to cure something when there's no disease? It is an imbalance of the carbohydrates. You are oversaturating your body with carbohydrates when, in fact, they tell you to eat carbohydrates. It's just the opposite. You are to eat fats and not carbohydrates, because you can balance your blood sugar with fats. Now, don't let me get into this, because this is my lecture thing that I do with organic broadcasting. It gave me 1.4 million followers because I talked about alternative health. And today we're not just getting on alternative health. I just wanted you to know that because Black people, we are the last to know, and we don't ever get second opinion. And I want you to know that your Medicare and Medicaid will pay for a second opinion. Always get a second opinion when someone gives you a diagnosis. Always, because you might not have the final, that may not be the final word on it. Okay, because even with cancer, they can say you have cancer. You can say, is it benign or is it malignant? And it might not be inoperable. It might be a situation where you can reverse that. I have had 3 people in my family with cancer, and my oldest brother reversed it, my oldest sister reversed it, and they couldn't find any more, and it was inoperable, and she's still living to this day. So just getting a diagnosis of cancer isn't a death sentence, and you have to know that. So in reading all of these files, you're going to be reading so much about these people. If you go into this field, it's a reading comprehension when you read the summary report. What happened to this person? What did they come in with? What's going on? Who broke down continuity? And where is the constructualized information where she's been in here for that procedure 3 or 4 times and it still hasn't been corrected? Now, diabetes is a very, very interesting area because they're now looking at putting things like spices in the diet to convert that hypoglycemia. A lot of women, when they go into pregnancy, they develop hyperglycemia. Their blood sugar go way up, and they produce a really overweight child, and that's temporary. And that diabetes can go away. It could just come with the territory of delivery. So we have to know a little bit about what we're talking about. So when the doctors come in there with all these clever words, if you know medical terminology, they're not going to mess with you. When you start slinging around some of those words and giving them the definition for them, they'll say, oh, you really know your Latin words, because medical term is Latin. And I think it is another area too, but it will give you the ability to read the doctor's orders, to see what he's done, and also decipher what kind of condition you have when the doctor goes to diagnose. When he diagnoses, you say, well, what is the diagnosis, doctor? Can you give me that? Don't just say layman terms. Give it to me in the professional term, and then go look it up. And then read the word from the back to the front and break it up in syllables. But it's very vital that you take control of your body and that you know what's going on. Now, a lot of these patients come in, they've been in several times for the same thing. First, they started getting their toe chopped off, and then their big toe, and then half their foot, and then their ankle, now their knee. Can you imagine somebody that is getting this kind of cutting? Hold on tight. Hello? Yes. Yes, they brought everything. I can't hear you. It's a lot of noise. It's a lot of noise. They brought everything. Yes, they did. No, I didn't see any. Yeah, I'm doing my show right now. That you have everything. All right, bye bye. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. Anyway, I want you to be informed. To be informed would mean that this will probably be the most valuable class you ever take that is in the medical term and the anatomy. It will help you in all of your endeavors in your hospital visit. It'll help you so you will get a dictionary and you begin to look up the diagnosis yourself and find out what is the root word of this epistemology? Where did this condition derive from? And when they give you medicine, then you can even look up, is this the right medicine that I should be taking? What is it going to do for me? So that you have a little working knowledge about what's going on in your body. You listen to your body. You'll be able to figure out how your body is faring. Don't go in there throwing it all on the table and saying, here, doctor, figure it out. You should have a better understanding of what is going on with you once you understand how the bones work, how the capillaries work, how the arteries work, how the veins work, then you're on to something. So maybe you got a stationary tube in your ear that is full of fluid. And you might need to go into the ear, nose, and throat doctor and have that drain. That may be causing that inflammation. Inflammation is a big problem now. And a large portion of us are getting a lot of inflammation, and inflammation causes the swelling and the overweight. And there's got to be a way that you can spew and drain that information out of your body. And the stationary tubes might be one of them. And it's so sad because a lot of people don't do spring cleaning. They don't do detoxification. But just in doing a detoxification may mean that you're cleaning out your arteries. And they have always said that low carbohydrates, low fats, and they finding out that most people don't eat eggs because they think that they're going to get this carbohydrate buildup and the fat is going to fill up in their arteries. Now they're finding that there are two different types of strands of fat. There is the LGL, I think they call it, or LGD, and the three strands um, basically can save your life, because now there is a third type of diabetes, and that is called they'll call the sugar diabetes. Instead of calling sugar diabetes, they'll say Alzheimer's condition, but it's really sugar diabetes, the third stage. And more people are getting Alzheimer's because they are not eating enough of the good fat, and because they are plugging up their arteries with this bad fat, and they're excluding this good fat, and that good fat could help save their life, so their arteries are cleaned out and don't get clogged up. So when they said don't eat fat, that was a mistake. They should have said eat a lot of good fat, because it's good for your brain and it will help you to not get the third stage of Alzheimer's disease. And you will lose weight because the fat that you're eating with the two strands of fat literally will help the body to make sure you clean your arteries out and keep a good flowing heart. So now the whole story has turned around that they were giving people these beta blockers to block the fat. And that's another problem that's causing this Alzheimer's and the inability to remember, because they have no fat in their body. And you must have some form of good fat in your body to function and to think. So now people are getting the eggs and the bacon, and they're getting much more healthier. See, they have told us so many lies about things that we have put them down in history and walked away from it, and we're killing ourselves and don't know it. So in learning all this, I hope that you apply some of it to your own personal life, and it won't just be information that you will store somewhere, because you could benefit from. You could be a transcriber with this information. If you take the medical term analogy, you can transcribe for the doctors, you can transcribe for the lawyers, and you can use this in the phlebotomy area if you want to become a phlebotomist. So these are the ground courses: anatomy and also medical term. These are the ground courses that one would take like a nurse, and a doctor would also take these classes. Now I've had pharmacology too, because that way it helps you to understand the basis of these chemicals that you're getting. What's in these chemicals, and what could it possibly do to the body? And before you take any drug, you ask, what are the contraindications? What can it possibly do to my body? And if the contraindications are much more greater than the cure, then you want to ask the doctor, is there a different type of medicine that you can give me that doesn't have all the side effects that causes me to be throwing up or causes me to look cross-eyed or whatever? Don't get me going on this one. But anyway, I want to say to those listening audience out there, if you don't have a profession or a trade, you definitely need to look into being a coding specialist, or you could be a billing specialist, or you could be a claim processor. And at the college where I was teaching individuals to be a claim processor. They could go, you can go anywhere and do backlog work for doctor's office. You can go in and help them set their records up, and you can file claims for many of claims insurance companies. Then if you throw in the coding, you can have a really neat job where you can work remotely from your home as long as you are good at what you do. And they generally like for you to have at least 5 years of experience behind you before they'll let you work at home remotely. And they came up with the idea to allow you to work remotely. When I say they, I'm talking about these industries that work in the medical profession, the allied health. They saw that most of these attending workers, they were focused and on the money. They met their quota, and their error level was down because they made fewer errors and they got the work done because they didn't have all the distractions from the office. So they drew up an actual referendum talking to all the companies saying, let's get our employees remotely working from home because we can save money that way. It's cost effective. So for those of you mothers who want to be home with your children, you can go in and take that report and you can show it to companies and show them where it's cost effective for you to work remotely from your home. That is once you get good at it. And when you get good at it and you can have sticky notes all over your wall, now all of a sudden you learn the process. You no longer need those sticky notes and you can actually do the coding and you understand it. So I want to say to those people who have been following me this long that we're going somewhere with this. I mean, I am retired right now, but it's always good to have a trade that you can come back in. I do have an actual company for professional development and training. So I would like to come in and do training presentations for companies who have individuals that need to get their certification and help work with those young people who are getting their certification and say, hey, this is how we're going to do this study. I do have some techniques that I use that was very instrumental when I took my graduate GMAT exam and all the tests I had to take in graduate school that I can pass on to some of the students so that they can at least have test taking skills. Now, I've never taken a test myself, but I do have good test taking skills that I can pass on to someone to help them to understand the format. I mean, when you first go into the testing grounds, you empty your bladder. That is number one. Okay. If it is an electronic test, you're not going to be using a pen and pencil. And at the same time, you don't turn your paper over before the instructor says everyone begin. You don't turn it over and start looking at it because you could be eliminated. Um, and you definitely don't talk to anyone during the test and don't let anyone talk to you because it might be misconstrued as you asking for answers. And you take advantage of your time. You watch your clock constantly and you try to go in with a quick glimpse and go through all the questions you know, and then come back and take that time to go in on those questions with more than one answer and try to execute those. And then if there's other types of questions where there are essays and you've got to write, take your time to make sure you write and spell everything the right way, punctuate it the right way, and put your commas where they should be, and don't be saying ara, and every other statement is an incorrect sentence because they're going to think you have no structure in English. But there are essay questions that I'm sure that they're going to give you, as long as the multiple choice. But definitely, if you've been in college, you've learned some test taking skill. And you don't panic, number one. You don't start breathing hard. How am I going to get through this test? You don't start panicking because now you're hyperventilating and that breathing is going to get you. You're going to have less oxygen. So, and if they give you a break, you remember they take that time away from you that you take a break. So always go and empty your bladder no matter what, because you don't want to stop to go empty your bladder. Now you've lost time. So there's some test taking skills that I'm going to be talking about a little bit later that you can utilize because this is a chance to beat the clock. And a lot of them probably didn't know all of this information and had a foundation in the science area, but they knew test taking skills. They went through and they executed the test taking skills so they know what to look for. When somebody said, well, there's more than one answer to this question, you say, what do you mean there's more than one answer? Is there just one? And then you'll say, oh, well, I knew that ahead of time because I looked at the sample questions. So these are some of the things, and your book, making sure that it's tabulated properly. I have gone back and tabulated the top for smoother transition so you can flip over to the actual section you're looking for. Now, down the road, don't quote me on this, but I bet they are going to let you take the software into the testing ground, and they're going to say, all right, we're going to take some of that time away, and now we're going to let you have at it, and you can use your software on your mobile phone to answer these questions. Then you're going to see more passing rates, and people are going to be buying the software like 20 going north, because the software is between 300 a year or 800, depending on which package you get. I've had a chance to actually use a demo of the software, and the software was so complicated. I needed somebody to go through the demo with me because there were so many. I had the elite premium, and there were so many things that was on the software that I wasn't familiar with. I mean, like you could put your notes in here, go in this room and put all your notes, and then come back to finishing your coding. So I needed somebody to walk me through the software so that I could utilize the time of the 14-day trial. I was busy thumbing through a lot of the different areas trying to get familiar with it rather than using that time to work those examples. They give you some examples to work through. Now, I wanted to also tell you that there is a company that actually have the claim processing where you don't have to do any coding. You basically go to an underwriter and they do the claims for you. You just go get the contracts with the doctors and you process their claims, and the claim comes to you with a code already on it. And all you do is set up your business where you process claims in. I think there's an agency that you sign up with, and they process claims like 20 cents on the dollar. So you can get them a good rate for processing claims. So it's far better and easier to be a claim processor because you're not worried about putting the wrong claim on. You're just worried about paying the claim. And more than likely, the codes that they put on you have to go with. You don't go changing those codes. You just use the code and go through the steps of processing the claim. And if you cannot pay that claim, you suspend it and come back and find out, did they undercode it or overcode it? See, these doctors, they're putting codes on for procedures, and for their area, there is a customary and usual amount that you can charge. When you go over that utilization review, they'll come back and they can sanction you and say you overcoded this claim for this procedure. It is not customary and usual for this area. And you don't want too much of that to happen. Okay. When you're doing just the claim processing, you can troubleshoot that claim and say, hey, this claim isn't going through. Somebody overcoded it and we need to send it back and suspend it. And you put the proper code on it, then we can pay it. So I was responsible for a manager's job where I had 16 claim processors and they had to process claims. I got out on the floor and processed claims with them. And we had to suspend claims that I could not pay because maybe it wasn't covered by the government and it was suspended because it was exclusive. We no longer covered that procedure. So you have to be able to read the guidelines from the government and know within the guidelines if you're still covering that or now you're covering both of those things. So now you can pay it. So it's a lot involved with looking at your government regulations and making sure you know what the government has approved. Now, there's different kind of codes, and you learn about the Z codes and coding to the highest expectation, the seventh digit, and all these things are going to be discussed in your conference that you go to, all the updates and addendums. So you're always updating your book because things are always changing, which is good. It's exciting. Now, I don't know how many of you are working in the medical field, but it would be good if I could get some hands raised up about anybody that is working in the medical field now and who feels a need to want to go into another level of allied health profession. Let me see who's all in the house. Hello there, Thomas Anderson, Willie Bias, Richard Jackson, Angela Fernandez, John Duval, Sean Waters, Russell Harris, Hezekiah Zachback. How you doing, Zachback? How are you? I haven't seen a lot of you in a while. Now, this may be information that you might not be using, but you could pass it on to someone. Make sure you tell a friend about my channel and go down and subscribe to my channel, especially you on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel, become a friend, and share and like my channel. Because a lot of you are coming in here and you're not saying anything. You're not helping me along. I give out a lot of energy. I never asked you to donate any money. I never asked you to give me anything. But for giving my time and patience, you could give me a like every once in a while. And you can go down there and subscribe today. So always only asking that you ride with me. If you walk with me today, and when I get to running, you can run with me as well. You can be my partner. We could be posses. But if you don't want to follow me, don't think that when I get up and running and get this program going, you're going to say, oh, me said she was going to get that university. And I had a university. I was connected to an extension from Florida. I had a brick and mortar building, and we were offering classes. We had our own institution right there in Maryville, Indiana. And I'm working towards getting that now. So I want to have classes that you guys can take online independently, or you could take them on demand where I actually do a Zoom session or a Skype and you can see me in the class. Now, I intend to take the medical term and the medical anatomy and make it into a class. Now, I'm going to do that for the benefit of those people who might be out of work. Now, the government will help you along. If you don't have a trade or skill, and if my class is less than a certain amount, they will pay for your class for you to take that class as long as you're going to be placed in an internship. Now, down the road, my recommendation is that you go on to do the medical records, you go on to do the ICD 10 and get the coding training. And therefore, you will have 3 classes that will allow you to sit for that exam. You don't need the classes to sit for the exam, but you need them for experience, okay? And then if you should happen to sit for that exam and you figure out what they're doing and you know how to answer the question, and you go in there and say, oh, I didn't pass it this time, but I'm coming back a second time. I know exactly what to do. Then guess what? You beat the system. You went in there, took that alphabet soup test without going to college and running up a big loan bill. And now you got some credentials where you can go and be paid just like you got a bachelor's degree when you only did the studying and you didn't have to spend money on a college degree. I'm saving a lot of people some money. And as a matter of fact, I'm saving some people's lives because this is an area to go into because this is the areas that's going to be in demand for marketing your skills. Anything in the hospital, any certificate that you might get, it is marketable. I got a job in the hospital when they didn't require you to have a certificate. They trained me on the job. Now you can't get a job in the hospital showing that you the ICD-10 CM. I don't know when I'm going to teach the ICD CM, but I am going to be offering it down the road. I can't tell you for sure, but if you can at least get in on the free classes for anatomy and medical terminology, I'm going to offer that class in another week or two, and you're going to have to stay with it. It's going to be about 4 weeks long. Now, initially, because it belongs to Dean Bond, I have to get a license to offer that class to you, and you have to pay $30 for the license. It gives you a license to open up online independently at self-paced at any time you want to and walk yourself through the actual assignments of the medical terminology and the anatomy. And once you finish that, you'll be granted a certificate. Now, I am going to teach that course as a cohort. I'm going to allow a portion of that class 1 day a week where I come in and and you will see the professor face to face, and we will interact and go through all those 206 bones and the anatomy. And that way you'll be reassured that you're on the right track and you won't be just doing everything alone. So that should be a fun class. And I know you're going to find out that you really like that. Okay. Hold on. Hello? Hey, what's going on? Uh, about the one he was going to get? What you mean? What was he supposed to say? He didn't say anything. What was he supposed to tell me? Well, he didn't have a chance to say too much because him and his dad, they went to the game. He came over and they went to the game because he had tickets. So I didn't get a chance to talk to him about it because he missed that game last time. He gave his tickets away, but we did. I think his dad did tell him to go ahead and I guess they're gonna talk tonight, and he'll probably tell me what they said. But I didn't get a chance to talk to him. Because actually we told him he could use it, use a card this week because we know he had to go ahead and get to work. So I guess he won't be looking at buying nothing until probably the weekend or something. But I think his dad gonna sit down and talk to him and tell him don't get no big note because it don't make sense to do that. So okay. Well, you gotta get up, sleep ahead, and get the baby up. What are you doing? Oh, okay, let him sleep. Don't wake him up. Okay, well, actually, I hopefully if he not gonna come, I'll talk to his dad tonight. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Call me tomorrow, okay? All right, bye bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, had to take that phone call. All right, Mrs. Important tonight. Ain't that something? Nobody don't ever call me during the day. Now Mrs. Important all of a sudden. Once again, I am your host for this evening. And to my Facebook friends, thank you so much for joining me. And I do want to let you know that you're definitely appreciated. Um, you're definitely appreciated. And I have not forgotten that I told you I was going to come back on. I have a series of other classes that you can go and listen to. And I did do the anatomy and medical terminology under, what is it? Shoe Talk. I think it was Shoe Talk. Yeah, Shoe Talk. So I'm going to try to see if I can pull those classes up and you can see how that medical terminology is taught. We go view the videos on tape. Then we come together in a group and discuss what is on those videotapes. And you'll find that it's much more simpler and you get through the material faster. It'll be fun, exciting. You'll find yourself grasping the information, holding on to it, retaining it. The main thing is that it does bark upon the fact that you retain that information, at least 80% of it, so you can recall it during test time. So at the end, there is an exam. You'll take these quizzes going through it. You'll do fine. You'll ace them. I went back and took the actual class, and I aced them after 30 years. I got 85%, and I basically got a B. That's more than mastery. So if I can do it, I know you can too. So I want you to think about your path and which path you're on. If you're interested in allied health profession, it is definitely one that's in demand. Plenty of work. I mean, I could walk in the hospital now with the skills I got, and they'll say, okay, we'll pay you to go back to school because they know that I will be productive in their departments. I worked in respiratory therapy, and I worked with the emergency team where we intubated when people came in with obstructions in their throat. So I worked in the emergency room, and I had a lot of experience in working with patients. And it's a lot of work, and it is very hard on the feet and the legs. So I wanted to go to more administrative work. They were going to pay for me to go back and get my license in medical record, excuse me, in respiratory therapy. But I said, no, I've seen enough blood. I really don't like a lot of patient contact. I'd rather do the administration. So literally, I had gotten a scholarship. So I took my scholarship money and I went back to school after I had got my bachelor's degree and then started to study in a 2-year associate program. So don't be afraid of going back to school if you want those certificates and that piece of paper. You definitely uh, you definitely want to get that piece of paper behind your name and those alphabet soups behind your name. This is the best way to go for the money if you don't want to spend a lot of money in getting loans and grants. Well, grants you don't have to pay back, but loans you do. A lot of people are straying away from the loans and trying to go the 2-year tech and get a technical license of some sort. So I hope I am appealing to someone today that needed this message, and I hope you are getting it. Now, let me see if there's anything else that I needed to tell you. The Decision Health is definitely an organization you definitely want to get a hold of. Get the latest catalog because it will fill you in. Decision Health, okay? It will fill you in on a lot of the materials and order your book so you can have better understanding. And just like I was telling you, Mrs. Ortega has a home health training program to teach you how to do your tabulation for hospitalization, not the specialty code. It's a completely different code. The hospitalization is not a specialty code, but home health is a specialty code. And there's a number of specialty areas that you can go into. Okay. Now, there is a textbook for the medical terminology, and it's 350. Textbook, medical terminology 350. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there is a textbook that comes online with this program. Medical Terminology 350, third edition online course. So you're going to get when you take and pay that $30 for your license, it will give you a license to use the software. It will give you a license so that you can have that book. And only thing they're asking is $30 to get that license. Otherwise, they will not give you the software so you can go through the course. Okay, so I don't make anything on that. It goes directly to the owner of the Dean by Medical Term. Just I told you about registering, and there is a procedure for registering for the exam at the BMSC approved level event. That means that you have to go to the right event that's approved so that you can take that test. The BMSC exam refund extension and a cancellation policy. There's a cancellation policy, a 90-day cancellation policy, and a decision within 30 days you have to make prior to your schedule for the exam. And then they say that you have 90 days from the day they register you to take the initial retake exam. If you fail the exam, you have 90 days to take the retest test. And there is a fee for doing the retest, but it's a smaller fee. Okay. Um, the recertification cycle. There's a cycle, a 12-month cycle for the recertification. And like I told you, you have 90 days to register. And they will give you all this in the handbook. You certainly want to get this handbook. It's free. You don't have to pay a dime for this handbook. And this is a certification handbook that you can go online under the Decision Health and request a copy of the handbook. I'm not going to read all of this information. You can do that for yourself. When you get ready to, once you pass the exam, you have to renew your license, and you have to renew them with CEU units. So you have to keep the license current, otherwise you'll lose your license. Non-qualifying continuing education activities, you have to get those courses approved to make sure they qualify for your CEUs and continuing education. There's a fee for any application, late fees. So when you register for your CEUs. After examination, you're a successful candidate. You passed it. You'll receive a certificate of recognition. Your status. They will talk about your home care coding specialist, diagnostic, HCS-D. Receive a credential lap pen. You will get a lap pen as well that you can wear on your lapel. Will be the listed in the directory of certified credentialing holders as a home care coding specialist diagnosis on the BMSC website. So your name will be listed on the website as passing an exam. If you're an unsuccessful candidate, you receive an invitation to retake the HCS-D exam. All retakes are $99 and will be taken at the computer-based testing site. You will not be able to go into the conference and take it in pencil and paper. You have to go to a computer-based. The confidentiality policy, there's a policy on that. So you're going to have to get this handbook to know all the ethical policies and maintaining your certification, the purpose of it. Receiving the HCS-D credentialing means you have to follow certain guidelines when you're holding that credential. You have to make sure after the year has expired that you renew your license with continuing education. And what are the biggest benefits of recertification and the maintenance of your certification? And that is when you're taking CEUs, the real benefit, sometimes you get a pay increase when you've got that credential, and when you renew it, your companies usually pay for you to go back and do your continuing education and renewing. Okay. So the handbook is very important. Let me see if there's anybody out here that has any questions. Are there any questions out here? How about you, Russell, Sean, John, Angela, Richard, Willie, Thomas? Are there any questions out here? Zach back. Do you have any questions? So you can formalize your question. I wish you was in my YouTube room, then you can chat with me. Let's see. I don't know why. I don't know. I got to get a better understanding of how to use this chat system here. It's very, very. Before I had some people that were coming out here that had questions, and let's see if I can. I don't see any people out here. Okay. All right. Nevertheless, I hope that I've been informative with you and telling you a little bit more about how to prepare for the actual exam. And there will be more to come. I will meet with you again, give you more insight on the structure of the test and the type of wording and questions that they may have. I'd like to say thank you very much to my YouTube friends for coming along and following me. Do continue to follow the leader, and don't forget that I am your coding buddy assistance, and I will be here to assist you to prepare you for the review for the exam. Okay, I can't take the exam for you, but I can help prepare you for the review. And this is what I've been doing over the year. There are tapes out on my website that you can go back and they're more detailed. And I've gone into the book, and you can see where I've gone into the book and explained some of the things and procedures that we're going to be that you have to use to prepare yourself. So please don't hesitate to go out to my site to find those on YouTube. And I don't know if you can get Spreaker or not, but you can look to see if I did any on Spreaker show. That's on my YouTube site as well. Now, please don't forget to follow the leader. I am your coding buddy, and I can make myself available to work with you. If any of you want to contact me via email, please do. If you're really serious about getting involved in the allied health profession, if anything I can do to help you, please let me know. Because I am your coding specialist. All I want you to do is give me those 2 thumbs up, tell somebody about my show, go down and hit that bell so you'll know when I'm going to be on again, and that bell will send you a little notice that I'm on the air. Okay, and I don't get on too often because I'm doing a lot of other different shows. But for Facebook friends, I'll come on here and I'll do my due diligence. And I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you so much. And this is called your medical coding buddy. And I have so many venues that I have to wait and figure out which one am I representing today. But usually I have my little jacket on with my little paraphernalias, and today I don't have it on. But I'll put my blue jacket on next time. You know what I'm doing. All right. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. And to my Facebook friends, I'm talking to you two this way and talking to you this way. So I'm turning my head back and forth. I hope that you have gained something from this class. You will tell a friend, and next time when I'm on, you'll ring that bell so you'll know when I'm on. You invite somebody, and don't forget to share. Don't forget to share this videotape with someone and tell them of the information that is free of charge that they don't have to pay for. Once again, thank you so much for joining me, and do have a great day. Oh, double straight ahead and into the future. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, straight ahead and into the future. Dallas, Texas, straight ahead and into the future. Garland, Texas, straight ahead and into the future. Danville, Illinois, straight ahead and into the future. Indianapolis, Indiana, straight ahead and into the future. Avon, Indiana. Oh, devil. Baba Booey to y'all. Did I hit the button? All right. Yeah, yeah.